Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing the blush tag. I was tagged by Making Up Ashley to do this, and in reality I messaged her and I was like, you filmed the blush tag, right? And when is it going up, and did you tag me? And she was like, yes, I tagged you. It's going up on Thursday. So I decided to upload my video on the same day, so I will link to her video down below. I believe she uploads a little bit later in the day than me, but I will leave her link down there. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I've tagged a few people. I will link to their channels down in the description box. So the first question is the best packaging, and this was a bit of a tough one. I went with the Clinique Cheek Pop, and this one is in the shade Cola Pop. I love that it has like this kind of clear packaging, looks like acrylic, and I just love anything clear. And then of course it's got this gorgeous embossed flower in there, which you can see through the packaging, and I just think it is beautiful. It's also nice and compact and not super bulky, so that definitely helps for some good solid packaging, but then again, it is just also gorgeous. Question number 2 is the Prettiest Color, and this was a really tough one, but I thought I would go with one that I have never mentioned before because it is brand new to me. It is the NYX HD Blush, and this one is in the shade Double Dare. And you know that I love just about anything orange shade, so this is like a pretty true orange blush. I know it's gonna look really good for like tan kind of golden-y looks. You know I like to go for anything warm, as you can see with my makeup today, and I just absolutely love this. NYX does an amazing job with blushes, and they've got a great shade range, especially considering they're at the drugstore, but even in comparison to some of my higher end blushes, this one is up there, and I just absolutely love this shade for spring and summer. Number 3 is the Most Pigmented, and this is a blush that I talked about recently in a big ol' American drugstore haul, so I will link that down below. But it is the Makeup Revolution Matte Blush, and this one is in the shade New Rules. This is insanely pigmented. I've got a lot of pigmented blushes, but this one is definitely one of the most pigmented. And on top of that, it's like pigmented but not patchy. It has like really good lasting power, so it's like pigmented in a good way. It also doesn't kick up a whole bunch of like powder when you put your brush in it. The next question was really tough because it's everyday blush, but then there's also a question that says what's most used or most practical, and I feel like they can all kind of fall under the same umbrella. But if I had to choose, I would go with MAC Copper Tone. If you are like my skin tone, a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, this is a great neutral shade. So if you're going really bold on the lips, really bold on the eyes, this is a super easy shade to throw on. That's just going to give you a little bit of color to your cheeks, but not really going to lean super warm or super cool. The next question is party blush. I don't know exactly what that means, but I thought if I was going to a party, what is the kind of blush that I would reach for? And if I'm going to a party, generally I'm going to be wearing something kind of bold on the lips or have a lot more going on in the eyes, so I just want my blush to be something that's going to add a little bit of color and of course last all night. So that would be a brand new blush to me. It is the Lorac Buildable Blush. This is in the shade Cinematic. I picked it up at Ulta when I was there, lucky, a few weeks ago, and these blushes are amazing. But the reason that I really mention this is not only is it a great shade to kind of match whatever you have going on your face, but it does just last incredibly long. So if you're going to be out all night dancing, partying, all that kind of stuff, you know that you're not really going to need to worry about this going anywhere, and it's just crazy long wearing. A blush that I regret purchasing is something, actually it's in a palette, and I've put it in a product I regret purchasing before a video, and it's not that it's a bad blush, it's one of my favorite blush brands, but just the palette itself is not for me. It is the NARS Guy Bourdin Blush Palette. You get a highlight, a bronzer, and then 4 blushes. 3 of the 4 blushes are crazy shimmery. The matte one is this like hot pink here, which is not really a shade that I reach for a lot. It's like very cool toned. The bronzer is not really dark enough for me, and then the highlight, I thought it was Albatross, but it's not. It's like another highlighter. So probably I have used this 5 times. There's nothing wrong with the pigmentation, but it's just like a personal preference. And then on top of that, it was like crazy expensive. It was like $60 or $70, which I guess is good because you get like 6 blushes in here. I don't think they're full size, but overall I definitely regret purchasing this one, but I'm not going to get rid of it because it was pricey. So that NARS Guy Bourdin palette totally could have ended up in the least used question, which is the next one, but I thought I would try something new, and I picked this Becca blush in Hyacinth, and this really could translate into any of my cream blushes. I just do not reach for them. I'll take them out to use them sometimes, and then I'll just totally forget because I'll do my foundation, powder my face, and then be like, damn it, forgot about the cream blush. I have oily skin, so I do kind of stay away from like cream products, but they definitely do help with the longevity. So I just like always forget to put them on. So I'm using this kind of blush as an example, but in general, my cream blushes are the ones that I use the least. Most used and would never let go of. You've got to know what this one is. It has been in my Best in Beauty like 2 or 3 years in a row. It's always in my travel makeup bag. It's been in my favorites. I've done a whole review on this entire line of blushes. It is the Balm Instant Blush in the shade Swiss Dot. I have actually hit pan on this, which is insane. I have never hit pan on a blush before. I continually reach for this if I need something easy, if I need something long wearing, if I'm doing a summery look, a wintry look, a neutral look, a bright look. It is just the perfect blush for my skin tone, and just about any skin tone, but just on me, I absolutely love it. And it doesn't look like a kind of everyday go-to blush, but it really is. The next question is favorite blush brand, and this is kind of a tough one because I really don't have a ton of repeats in different brands, but if I had to just choose one, like if I could only ever buy one brand of blush again, even though I want that Balm Instant blush, I would really have to go with MAC. These are just the blushes that I have been using for the longest. A great shade range. They've got mattes, shimmers, frosty shades, and just such a good selection of colors. Like that would just, I guess, have to make it my favorite brand if there was only one thing I could reach for. The greatest blush discovery that I came across last year was ColourPop. This one is a favorite of mine. It's in the shade Tonic, and it's this great orangey shade. Now that I've kind of dug it out, I really need to start using it again, especially into spring and summer. I just find with ColourPop blushes, I just don't really know how to approach them because they're such a different texture. I've seen a lot of people using like small stipple brushes because it really is like a cream to powder hybrid. So I'm gonna try and use this a little bit more in spring and summer because I absolutely love this formula, really long wearing, and just the color is gonna be perfect. This next question is most practical, and I don't really know. I mean, like any of those like long wear neutral blushes I could totally say are the most practical, but I wanted to use something different for each question. So I decided to go with the Illuminating Cheek Color from Clarins, and this is in the shade Sunset Coral. And I say that this is practical because it's got like shimmery bits in it, it's got coral, and then it's got kind of like a more neutral color. So this you could use in like a bunch of different ways. You can swirl it all together and put it on your cheeks, and then you're not going to have to reach for a highlight, and it's a pretty neutral color on me. You can use these as like eyeshadows, you can use them individually, you could use it just as a highlighter. So I guess that makes it a practical blush. I don't know, but I'm going to say it does. For least practical, I'm going to say none of them. I don't know. I couldn't really decide. I've got some like crazy bright blushes, but I don't want to say that they're not practical because I love bright blushes. I guess for me, the least practical again would be cream blushes because it's just not a part of my routine and it's not something that I ever reach for. So I guess they're not practical for me. I don't know, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. The next question is most expensive, and I guess it would just be like my NARS blush, so definitely that NARS palette, or I have a NARS single. This one is in the shade Exhibit A, and I think this is one of the first high-end blushes I ever got. It was a case of like, okay, I'm getting something expensive, I want it to be like wild and crazy and super cool, and this is kind of a cult favorite as well. And whenever I've mentioned this blush, I always like to say that it's not as crazy as it looks. Like your natural flush in your skin is kind of red if you get embarrassed or cold or anything like that, like the blood is rushing to your cheeks. It's kind of weird to put it like that, but if you use a light hand with this, it just gives a gorgeous flush, but use a light hand because it is so pigmented and gorgeous. NARS is like, you know, the queen of blushes essentially, and they've got some great essentials in their collection, but this is just such a cool kind of reddy orange shade, but it's definitely one of my most expensive. And then we're going to be ending on a low note in a few ways because it is the least expensive blush. It's not a blush that I'm really excited about, but I did keep this from my Dollarama makeup haul. I think this was $3 and you get 4 blushes in here. They're super pigmented, they've got decent wear time, they're super powdery though, and they smell kind of like cheap Chinese poison makeup, but overall they're okay. I held on to it just in case I do like a $20 makeup challenge or talking about like lower end, lower price makeup. It's not something that I love, and it's not because it's cheap, it's just I don't totally trust it, but it is a decent blush palette if you're just getting into makeup or if you want to like kind of try out some new colors. So I will link to that Dollarama makeup haul down below. But that is the end of my blush tag. If you want to like answer in the comments comments. I'll leave all the questions in the description box. So if you don't have a YouTube channel, be sure to like answer some of the questions or all of the questions in the description box, because I'm a total blush junkie and I would love to know what your favorites are, what you hate, and all that good stuff. And if you do have a channel, feel free to do it and let me know if you do, and I'm going to tag some of my YouTube buds in the description box as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at Samantha Jane YT. Don't forget to enter my 5,000 subscriber giveaway, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!